Welcome to this week's deep dive video. I want us to take a deeper look at the last part of James 1, the same portion we went over Sunday, but there's so much there, it was hard to get to everything. And there's not very many verses, but those verses have a lot of weight in them. And something I want us to note is, as James is writing, he often uses this phrase, my beloved brothers. And this is James writing to the church. So if you're a follower of Christ today, this letter is written for you as well. So he writes and he says, know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. And I look at how divided and messed up our world is today, and I think of all the frustrations and all the arguments I find myself in, whether it be through social media, because that's where a lot of that happens, or it be in person, or somebody has a misunderstanding with me or with those around me. I see all these fights that happen needlessly. I see families that get torn apart. I see people get their feelings hurt and they get crushed. Sometimes justly, they should feel that way. I would feel that way. Anyone would feel that way. And other times, they didn't really listen to what was being said, and they just reacted to something that wasn't even really what was happening. And James' advice here again, or not even advice is the wrong word. James' instruction to the church to be quick to hear, to slow down, to make really listening to people the first thing you do, is this incredible idea. You know, as simple as it sounds, it's revolutionary in that you're putting them first, right? You're not just out of courtesy waiting until they get done talking so you can share what your point of view is. You're weighing through it. So if you're reading on social media like Facebook or something, you're taking time to ponder and weigh what they've written. If you're having a conversation with someone face to face, which is much better, if you're having that conversation with somebody, to just sincerely listen. What are they saying to you? What are the actual words coming out of their mouth? Where are they coming from? And then respond. So be quick to listen or quick to hear, slow to speak. Slow to speak, because once it comes out of your mouth, you can't get it back. Once it comes out of your mouth, you now are hopefully being heard, right? And you hope that they are listening with the same ear that you gave them. You hope that people are weighing what you have said. And that's an amazing thing when you have weighed the words that are coming out of your mouth, when you have taken time to think through what you're going to say. But that's not an amazing thing, and that's a concerning thing when you've not taken time to weigh what is coming out of your mouth, when you've just responded with emotion, or you've maybe responded too strongly because your feelings were hurt, or you misunderstood because you weren't listening. Now you've got this fire introduced into this conversation that should have been mutually beneficial. This should have been a place where you were both growing, but now you're attacking one another. You're not friends, you're not family, you're enemies, because maybe you weren't quick to hear, and you definitely weren't slow to speak. When we give people time to share what they're thinking, when we weigh the words coming out of their mouth, we can respond appropriately, and we can weigh our words. Now, I know from experience, and sometimes I'm on the other end of this, but you can be speaking with someone who's very passionate about what they're saying, and if you don't interject, they're going to talk all day. They're going to talk all day, and you think, how in the world do you have a conversation with someone like that? And I'll tell you, it's difficult. Something I have found in this, being quick to listen or quick to hear and slow to speak, is waiting for a pause and saying, just a moment, if I've heard you correctly, this is what you're saying. I give them an opportunity to clarify, this is what I've heard so far, because even if you're being quick to listen, at least my brain can only handle so much. So if you give them a moment to clarify, make sure you've understood things correctly, I then try to, or my attempt is, hey, can I respond to some of those things? Especially if maybe it's a charge brought against me. Maybe it's something somebody's frustrated about and they're bringing a concern. Maybe it's somebody that's going through a family issue. And if we get too many things piled up, then I'm going to talk for an hour just trying to address their concerns. We don't want that. We want a back and forth in conversation. This is how we grow together. So sometimes pausing, clarifying what they've said, and then saying, can I respond to a couple of those things? Invites conversation, so you're not having a big list. They're not just rambling on. So that's my advice to you in that. And then slow to anger, for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. And how many times are we willing to just throw away friendships that have been there for years, to give up on people that we've known for years, or respond to something that's often just hearsay or gossip? Somebody else is frustrated, we hear it, and oh man, we respond quickly. So we go speak quickly, and we go out and we are quick to this anger that doesn't do anything for the kingdom, it's not beneficial for us. We've not taken time to seek truth. If we would heed James' instruction, God's instruction through James, if we would heed this instruction, being quick to hear, seeking truth in these things, being quick to hear, slow to speak, weighing our own words, and then being slow to anger, we would be much better off. I had someone correct me a while ago, and they did it in such an amazing and loving way. There was no way I could be angry with them. They called and said, Cole, I heard these things about you, and that doesn't sound like you. Explain what happened to me. And it was this really cool opportunity for me to share, them to listen, and then them to speak truth in my life, weighing what I had said and weighing what they were going to say. And I believe that I have grown quite a bit from their input in my life. If we would be the church that James has instructed us to be, that God has called us to be, we would all be better off for it. The world would be better off for it. And I know our local congregation certainly would be better off for it. I pray you have a great week and that you can join us Sunday as we continue working through James' letter to the church.